Hey, welcome to our pottery studio. We are here today and we are throwing cylinders. I have my lovely assistant and my daughter Maya Perry, who is a ceramic artist in her own right, and she is going to show us the 7 steps to throwing a cylinder. Now, I picked this tip up a couple years ago when I was in Malaysia. I was trying to learn how to throw again. I threw a little bit in college and then I lost it for 20 years and then I'm back. And so Simon Leach over at Simon Leach, I think that's just the name of his channel, has the 7 steps of throwing a cylinder, and it helped me so much. I'm going to show you them. Okay, so step 1 is collaring it, making a cone. So coning it up. Coning does several things. 1, if your clay is a little bit stiff, it can make it wetter. 2, it gets all the particles going in the same direction in case you didn't get it good and wedged. This gets everything going in the same direction. And 3, what? Wet. I already did wet. And it helps you center. So when you get it up and taking it back down, sometimes if you can't get it centered just quite right, you cone it and you can you bring it back down centering, and it's a little bit easier to center. So first thing Maya did was she set the ball of clay right in the middle, gave it a good smack down, and now, hold on, sweetie, before you go, let's tell them about, you want to have your Tyrannosaurus Rex arms either anchored into your body somehow. So Maya started throwing when she was 7. She's 10 now. Jake when he was 5. And they don't have very much weight. So, and even if you have a lot of weight like me, or more weight than you should, you don't want your arms just flapping around out here. Anchor them into your body, and then it gives it a lot more power to your centering. Now there's 2 parts. You either want you want a wall hand and a top hand. You can have your left hand be your wall hand and your right hand be your top hand, or vice versa. You just need to pick. I was taught right hand, wall hand, left hand, top hand. But nowadays they teach left hand, wall hand, top hand. As your left hand, you kind of karate chop it. You can do either one. So Maya, do whichever one you want. I do both, actually. I do both. When I'm doing bigger stuff, I tend to put my left hand as the wall when I'm doing like 10 pounds of clay or more. So here's what Maya's doing. She's anchoring in, and she kind of leans into it because she doesn't have much weight to her here. So she's coning it up here. Is it stiff? And she's taking those fingers and pressing them in real close and pulling that clay up. Now show them. So you got a little cone here. Now when you bring it back down, you want to do the same thing. You want a wall hand and a top hand. So go ahead and bring it back down, sweetie pie. And you want to keep it nice and wet. I like to keep a sponge here at the lip of my water bucket. Now some people like to keep a sponge actually in their hand as they're centering, so they can just kind of squeeze a little bit and the water will drain down onto their hand. That's a great idea. I've never done that or gotten used to it, but I had a friend over the other day that was doing that. I thought, wow, that's really cool. Okay, so now she's got it centered. Let's clean up the base. Next thing, you take your thumb and you just kind of press it to the wall of that, and you get a real clean line right there. Jake, do you have a good view on the ball of clay right there? Okay. Okay, now you want to keep your hands wet, and you want to place both your hands on the side of your vessel or your ball of clay, and you want to put one thumb in. I like to put one thumb in on the center, and I like to put another thumb on top of that. Do you do it that way, or do you do them both? Okay, so she does them both side by side. Doesn't really matter. I like to get a little hole, and because you don't want drag, I fill that little hole with water, just a little bit. And now to take it down a little bit further, I go down, and you don't want to go all the way to the bottom. You want to stop maybe a quarter to a half inch short of the bottom. We'll get some of the rest of that in trimming, but you don't want to go all the way through or go so close to the bottom that when you cut it off with your wire tool later, it cuts through. So how deep are you about there? Half inch, quarter inch? Okay, so the first step is you put that hole in, go all the way to the bottom. The second step is you V it out. You V it out. So what that means is basically you keep the middle part of your thumb, the tip of your thumbs at the base, and can you see the top of my head here? Is it cut off? You keep your thumbs in the middle, and then you pull them out like that. And that gives you a nice wide mouth. And now you flatten the base. Now there's a few ways to flatten the base. You can use your thumb. Usually first run is you use your thumb, and you kind of pull your thumb across that base. It's hard for you to see in there right now, but that's what Maya's doing right there. Okay, you got it flat. Another thing you can do is you can take that rib, a wooden rib, and flatten the base that way. I'd get it wet first so you get all that nasty clay off. Okay, so we'll show them how. Go ahead and clean that rib off real quick here, or just get it wet and then flatten the base in there. Sometimes this helps with pressing the clay down against the clay bat too, so you don't get cracks later on. Okay, good stuff. Okay, now we are going to collar the mound of clay there, and what that basically means is you take your hands on both sides and you just kind of squeeze the top end a little bit and you make a volcano. Right like that. You could even go a little bit further. Perfect. Okay, so now we got it collared in. We are at step 5, and we're going to do step 6. So we're going to start pulling it up a little bit. Now, a few hints. Hold on, sweetie. A few hints on pulling up the wall. Your left hand, if you're right-handed and you throw right-handed, so a lot of left-handed people throw right-handed too. So you have your left-handed pincher. I use my middle finger and my thumb, and I put it down inside the pot like this. Can you see this coffee cup, Bubba? No? Okay, so you put it down inside the pot like this, and I'm going to push out with this middle finger, and this thumb will be on the outside. So I push out, and when I push out, it's going to form a little lump on the outside of your wall there. Now that lump, your finger is going to go underneath that lump. So see what Maya's got here? Now you want to always make sure you keep it nice and wet, and when you pull in your first pull, see how Maya's pulling up and in. She's not pulling straight up, she's pulling up and in. Perfect. Way to go, girl. Okay, so you're pulling up and in, so you're still keeping that volcano shape. And why do you do that? Because centripetal force makes you always want to go out. It's always going to kind of gravitate towards going out. So you got to keep it in like this as you're starting off. If you want it to be a cylinder. Now, as you get when you do a bowl, you usually do that same thing, and then you go wide. You widen it out after you get it a good height. Okay, so the last step is pulling it all the way up. So you can see Maya pulling that nice wall. Well done. Got a little bit of a bubble there. No big deal. Okay, so that is a cylinder every bit as good as I did when I was in college. And so she's using the rib to kind of flatten that out there. Going a little bit fast. And then you want to show them the undercut. So you want to have something to grab it by to get it off the wheel. So doing a little bit of an undercut down there. Now that does several things. That dries this out down here, so we have something to grab, and it also gives a little lip to grab onto. You're great, sweetie. Okay, now to cut this off, I like to shut the wheel off, and then put a little bit of water right in the front. And then Maya, you have your cutting tool. Okay. Good job. So hold on. So that you grab it, you wrap it around your hands, and your thumbs go down, put it flush with the base of the bat, the top of the bat, and then you pull towards you. And then you want to make sure you have enough room on the sides you don't brush against your pot. And then you can pull it off the wheel, and you have a little coffee cup, a cylinder. The next step would be, what we're going to do is we're going to put it out in the sun. It's going to dry for maybe 30 minutes or so, such that we can flip it over, and then we'll bring it inside. And you flip it over usually to get it all. The Texas heat dries it out fast, but when you flip it over, it kind of keeps it drying consistently. But then within another 30 minutes, we can trim it up on the wheel. So that's all we got. That's the 7 steps of a cylinder. Step 1, cone. Step 2, center. Step 3, put a hole in it. Step 4, flatten your base. Step 5, collar it in. Step 6, pull up and in. And step 7, pull all the way up. That's what we got. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, if you liked what you saw, hit that subscribe button and be the first one to know when we release new videos or when we have a new batch coming out of the kiln. If you want to see the gear or the materials we used, check out the link in the descriptions. And lastly, if you have questions or thoughts, leave me a comment in the comments below. I'm here to help. See you next time.